Hey guys, welcome to the new episode of the Resident Rulebreakers podcast.
Woo!
Woohoo! Yay! I'm Camille. I'm your co-host. Today is a little bit different because Kayla is really sick. So today we have a guest co-host with us, Radek Lord. Y'all might know him as Grayson Veterinary, who is Dr. Bell's assistant, former assistant.
Yep.
First
Thank
of
you
all,
so much for having me on. I'm very excited to talk about the last episode and just to talk about The Resident in general. I've kept up this whole season, so I'm very excited.
We've missed you. Where have you been?
I don't know. I have my own theories as to where Grayson is because they haven't talked about him at all. So one of my theories is that he's in medical school. So
Ooh,
maybe he'll come back season 6, season 7. I don't know.
As one of the residents.
Exactly. He'll come back as a resident. I don't know.
You'll be the resident this time. That is so funny. Actually, you and Bruce have like the best chemistry. It's just fun, and we miss your energy on the set.
Maybe he'll come back as CEO. So
that would be cool.
Yeah.
So anyway, yes. So thank you so much for joining us, Radek.
Of course. Thank you.
Okay. So this podcast, we're going to be talking about the most recent episode called "Moving On and Mother Hens," and it's directed by Rob Greenlea. He directed last week's episode as well, and written by Jen Klein.
Oh, I love Jen. I love Jen so much. She is the sweetest human being ever. I think she was one of the first writers I ever met on The Resident.
Really? That's cool.
She was like, come here. Like, I just want to explain, like, I love Grayson so much. I love writing for him. And I'm so excited to have you. And I was like, Jen, thank you. Like, that's the best thing you want to hear as an actor. You want to hear the writer who's like writing your dialogue be like, oh, I'm so excited for you to play this character. Like that meant a lot to me. And she is so sweet. She is the sweetest person ever.
Such a great thing. I was going to ask you if you worked with either Rob or Jen when you were working on The Resident. What episode did you do with Jen Klein as the writer?
Oh, I don't remember. That must have been season 2. So that was a long time ago at this point.
2 years ago.
Yeah, wow. Isn't that crazy to think about? Like I was on the show for 2 seasons and that felt like, and now it's been so long since I've been on it. And it feels like history at this point.
We need you back. I swear. I'm gonna like talk to Amy and be like,
you know what? But I understand, like, I completely understand. Like, I'm not bitter about it. I'm not mad. I'm like, and I still love the show more than anything. Like I am a fan of the show, but I get why they didn't bring me back. Like COVID has messed up a lot of things.
Yeah.
And so like, my character isn't really essential to the story. So I get it. Like there's no hard feelings at all.
I feel like your energy and your usefulness is needed because right now it's mostly older people and you're like the younger generation who just like comes in with.
Yeah, well, there was that episode where they talked about TikTok, and I was like, oh, there we go. Like, Grayson right now is like learning TikTok dances.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine you doing a bus it challenge or something.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, Dr. Bell, come on, we got to do this challenge. You'll go viral.
Oh, my gosh. I can now imagine you and Bell doing, I don't know, the red light challenge or bus it challenge.
There's a really nice young lady on Instagram who makes a lot of fan art for The Resident.
Yes.
And a couple of years ago, she made a picture of me teaching Belle how to do a TikTok dance, and I feel like it's so appropriate now.
Well, shout out to Mads.
It's Mads. Yeah.
She also did our logo for the podcast. So
Mads is awesome. She and I keep in contact on Instagram a lot, and
that is so cute.
Yeah, she's awesome. She's really cool.
Yeah, she actually did our logo because we saw the artwork that she did with Belle and you, and it was like, Kayla, we need to get her to do our logo.
Yeah, and I'm sure she was so excited to do it. She showed us
that we were her first commissioned piece. So you are still in contact with the fans.
Oh yeah. They're so nice to me. I don't know what to like. I get tweets sometimes saying like, "Where's Grayson?" And I'm like, I don't know what to say. Like, I'm sorry. I don't know where he is.
I swear, if the resident comes back in season 5, and you come back on season 5, you can thank all the fans for like harassing the arachnids.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Yeah. I understand. I get it, and this happens in showbiz all the time. And so there's no one I'm mad at. I'm not bitter. So I'm chilling, and I'm glad I played
What have you
Grayson
been
for so
up to
long.
since the resident?
Well, right after the resident, I was actually supposed to film an episode as COVID started. And I was supposed to be in like one of the last 2 episodes of season 3, I believe.
Yes.
And they canceled those, and I was supposed to be in one of them. So since then, so COVID started, and then Hollywood shut down for a really long time, like really, really long time. They were trying to figure out how to, shoot things safely. And then things started to kind of, now SAG has like certain rules you have to follow during COVID to be safe. And so I worked on a movie not too long ago. I would say like 4 months ago. It's a horror movie. So that was a lot of fun. My first time ever doing horror. And, and I still played the comedic character. I still played like the comic relief, that's kind of what I'm good at. In the Resident. The Resident is such a serious show, and they talk about like some very serious subject matters. Yes. I think that a thing I do well is kind of like, okay, all right, let's take a little breather.
You just bring light to the set. That's why, because it's like when Grayson comes on, it's like, oh, this is gonna be fun.
yeah, you're allowed to like, okay, all right, I can relax for a moment as long as Grayson's on camera. Okay, all right. It's not going to be.
That's why we need you. That's why we need Grayson. You keep saying that your character is not essential, but I think that in so many ways you are essential, because, like you said, you're like the lightheartedness. So it's so heavy. The resident's so heavy. It's so.
I
so
appreciate
much
that.
That you kind of like bring the light and joy and stuff like that. So that's why you are important.
I appreciate that.
I think all of the characters are important. But yeah,
they're all super important, and I'm so glad that like I was looking closely at the intro sequence, the theme song, and so many new characters are on there now that I'm like, I'm so excited that like shows evolve, and they add characters, and everyone that's here now is like, I think they are super crucial.
They added Kit. Oh, sorry, they added Jane, and they also added Morris to the intro sequence, which is great because they've been on. I mean, Jane had been on since I believe season 2, so I don't know why it took till season 4 for her to be added on there. But anyway.
I'm sure it's like a contract thing. Maybe. Yeah. I don't know how all that. I haven't gotten there yet, so I'm sure it was something to do with that. Like, okay, season 4, she's gonna be in it like a lot, so we got to put her in. Yeah.
But yes, you and Tasso and Jessica are like literally the fun parts of the show. So that's why a lot of people are also missing Jess and Tasso as well. So they're like, where's Jessica? And where's Tasso? I thought we're supposed to find their love story also.
I'm really excited about the new love story this season. Mina and AJ.
That's who I'm most excited about too.
Yeah.
But talking about Mina and AJ, you actually called this. You as Grayson called them, because remember when I believe it's season 2, you got into a drunken day, drunken night with Mina.
Oh yeah, that was season. I think that was season 3, but yeah. Or was it season 2? I think it was season. I don't know, but yeah, we had that night where we crashed a bar mitzvah together and took all those drunk pictures. And then Mina
woke up in Belle's suit.
Yeah.
But I remember specifically you outed her because you said that
Velociraptors.
Yes.
Yeah. She's like, you kept talking about Velociraptors. What's up with that? And then Tasso and Devon are like, Raptor. Yeah, okay.
But yeah, so now in this episode, it seems like Mina is having visa issues. She
Hmm.
has to upgrade, and so like her solution to that is
Get
marriage.
married. Yeah.
Which
Which, you know what?
AJ obviously jumped on because he was like, yes, let's get married.
Because it's so funny. I love this dynamic because I feel like Mina is not a romantic. She's very, she's very surgical about everything that she does.
Straightforward and
But
everything.
Raptor AJ is a romantic to his core. He
Yes.
loves love, and
Oh
it's going to
yes.
be very interesting to see the dynamic develop in their relationship, because I think he wasn't upset that she asked him to marry her. He was upset that she didn't actually like propose like properly, which I thought was hilarious. He's more mad about like, why don't you have a ring?
I know. And then she's like, I got you donuts.
Yeah, she's like, they're maple. Come on. Like, this is the best. Like, this is, I thought this was enough, So I thought that was funny.
I just love they're in like AJ was so excited, and she was like, he was wanting Nick's help to plan the wedding. Everything, and Nick was like, wait, what? You're getting married? When did that happen?
Yeah.
But yeah,
Man.
but I was, Kayla told me, she was like, I was not happy that they were gonna get married because she thought that it was too soon. Personally, I do too. So I was glad that it did happen. But but personally, I feel like, Minna was talking about how it would be illegal. She would be sent back to Nigeria or whatever. But personally, I think that what motivated her was not just that, but more so that AJ could be in jail. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't think I think for me, what I took from it was she doesn't want to end this relationship sooner than it really has to.
Yes.
So I think it's actually a really sweet thing of her to be like, actually, let's not get married because I don't want to risk. We can't date if I'm in a different continent. Like, so I thought it was Mina's way of saying I love you. Like, I thought it was very sweet. I agree with Mina, where it's like, yeah, if you guys do get married, it's actually going to be worse for you guys. Yeah. So I thought it was I'm glad that they didn't get married. But I thought it was a really, really good choice for her to say no to the marriage because she didn't want to risk losing AJ over deportation. She'd rather get deported than lose AJ, really, which is like, that's sweet. That's really sweet.
I just love and then like at the end when they come together and she's like, when Nick asked me, do I love you?
Yeah.
I didn't know the answer, but now I know. It's like, yes. And I'm sitting there going like, took you long enough to know.
Yeah. Like, you guys have loved each other since day one.
I know.
Like the first moment you guys laid eyes on each other. Come on. But yeah, no, I thought that was very sweet. And then he goes, I love you too, in case you didn't know. And she goes, no, I figured, like, I picked up on that. Like, you didn't have to say, I knew it. I thought that was
it kind of reminded me of Star Wars, with Princess Leia says, I love you,
Han. I know. Yeah, it very much was like that. Yeah.
But yeah.
But you know what? I'm gonna take a step back for a moment just to talk about how emotional I've been getting watching some of the episodes where I'm like, oh my god, like I cried the first episode. I don't know, like
with the wedding.
With the wedding and everyone saying like, we lost, these are the people that we lost on the front line. But I don't know if it was the wedding or if it was Hundley's, like Nurse Hundley is like hospitalized and Devon's dad is also dead. And I'm like, it was all of that together. And then I started thinking about it. I'm like, they're talking about COVID as if it's history, which it's really nice because honestly, after the first episode, I'm like, oh, there's hope. Like this show this first episode gave me so much hope about the future. But at the same time, we haven't had a time to like think about what we've been going through. Like what we're living through right now is crazy and it's traumatic.
I just feel like in so many ways, like you said, the fact that they set it for the future, post COVID, it is a reminder that there will be a time after all this.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? There's gonna be a time. Right now, we're in the middle of it, so therefore we can't think, oh, this is gonna sometime in the future it's gonna be done or whatever. But
I think that's why I cried. I think it was because it was like I was taking a moment back where I was like, I was actually not in thinking about what's going on now. I'm thinking about what it's gonna be like in the future.
Yeah.
And it made me like super emotional. I was like, oh man, like I can't wait for this to be over.
Yeah, it's I think that's the thing that I love too, is that there's that hope and there's that reality that we're gonna get out of this at some point. You know what I mean? We're all gonna be fine. We're gonna get back to real life. We're gonna get back to like having weddings and vacations and not think about coronavirus ever again. You know what I mean?
know. Well, that part in this episode where I think it was Clementine and Trinity where the mom starts freaking out because she thinks that her daughter has COVID again. And I'm like, well, that's probably going to happen in the future where people are going to experience symptoms and they're going to go, oh my God, it's COVID is happening again. Yeah. Like it's a sort of PTSD.
Yes. We're all going to have some kind of PTSD after this.
I think so. Yeah.
We're all going to be terrified. I can't even imagine, but let's talk about the next storyline, which is Kit and Belle now. Oh my gosh. Like Kit, Belle, and the stalker. Yep. Okay, so I have a question for you. What are your thoughts on Kit and Belle? Do you like them?
Oh, I love them. Yeah. I absolutely love them. There was one episode in season 3 where they're having a really nice moment in their office and Grayson walks in and interrupts the really nice moment. And I remember
Grayson.
Yeah, it was like, of course he comes in at the worst time because I think she's like adjusting his tie and it's very intimate. And then I go, all right, I'm headed out for the day. Deuces. Well, that's not what Grayson said, but something like that. And I remember wanting to say something as a fan. I'm like, what if I improvise the line saying like, all right, be careful, you two, or something like that. I'm like, should I say that? Should I say this line and see if the director likes it?
Why did you?
I should have just gone for it.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, so I am a big fan of Kit Dolph. I think it's exactly who Dr. Bell needs. And it's really nice to see Dr. Bell in season 4. He's now solidified as the good guy. Like he is from season 1 to season 4, like that story arc, his character arc. I'm like, he is now 100% the good guy. And he's fighting for Chastain, which is, something that, maybe season 1, Dr. Bell wouldn't have done that, but now he's got the support. I think what it is that Dr. Kit makes Dr. Bell a better person.
Oh, yes.
It makes him see the good inside of himself.
Oh, yeah.
So I do like it.
I'm a fan of Kit Dolph. I've always loved. I'm a big Jane Leeds fan. Frasier.
Dude, so is my mom. My mom watches Frasier every day.
Oh my gosh.
Like before she goes to sleep, she'll put on like an episode of Frasier. And the fact that I worked with Jane Leaves, my mom is obsessed with. Like, she's like, no way, that's so cool. Like,
did you at least get your mom an autograph?
No, I should have taken a selfie or FaceTime my mom while I was with her.
Yes.
And be like, Mom, maybe I did actually. Now that I'm thinking about it,
you would have been the perfect son. You would have been like the favorite son.
I'm already the favorite son. Don't tell my brothers. Don't tell them. But yeah, no. And Jane is another one of those people that is just such a sweetheart off camera too. Oh, I remember this. So we were staying in the same hotel while we were filming, and I was walking around town, and I see her walking, and I'm like, "Oh, hey, Jane," and she started talking to me, and we started walking together, and we walked all the way to the post office together, just talking the whole way, and it was like a really nice like day. It was just like we ran into each other on the street, and we like spent an hour together, just like walking to the post office and talking.
That is so cute.
Yeah, she's also. You know what? I could just say that about anyone on The Resident. Everyone on The Resident is so nice. So nice. And it's one of those things where like, this is the first set, genuinely, and I'm going to say this genuinely, this is the first set I've ever worked on where everyone is super nice. Because there's always that one or two people that are like not nice, not good people.
Yeah.
But on The Resident, I've never had like a bad conversation or a bad experience. So like everyone that you see on camera is as nice off camera.
We had the privilege of talking to Malcolm and Bruce, and like they're like the big guys, you know. You're like they've had the careers for like 30 years. And I was nervous as heck. I'm sitting there going, "What if they don't like us? What if we look like, you know, little fangirls that don't know what we're doing?" But they're so nice. They're so friendly. They were so patient. And like I can't even. There's like not enough praise in
and Bruce is so funny. That's the thing, that Bruce is one of the funniest people to work with, because he's a kid at heart, you know. And I think I mentioned that last time I was on the podcast, where Bruce is just every day he's trying to like, you know, make someone laugh. So actually the part that I laughed at the most was in this episode, where she hands him the resume and he opens it. He's like, this is not a resume. She's like, let's call it a headshot. He's like, that is not your head. That is, and his face is so funny, because like Bruce is just, he needs to be in more comedies, I swear, because his comedic timing is so good. He like slowly like his face when he opens it, and he slowly closes it, like what is happening right now?
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
But that was crazy.
That whole scene with him and the stalker, Fiona, it was like he was like trying to separate himself from her, and she kept coming at him. And she was like taking off her clothes and everything. I'm like, oh my God, please Lord help me. But yeah, Kit saved the day and came in.
I thought that scene is like from a screenwriting perspective is so interesting, because you start the scene off like super funny, like, oh haha, here's a super fan, she's coming to like try to seduce him, and then in 1 second she starts barking at him. And I remember sitting there like, what is this girl is not right, like something's wrong with her. And then you find out that she has the tumor that's right next to her, like secreting hormones and changing them. And I thought that was so cool, so smart.
I remember watching that and going, what the fuck is going on with this girl?
Yeah.
Like she was she looked normal. She was fine. She approached him, at breakfast or whatever, just to get an autograph, which is normal. I mean, if you see somebody that's a star that you're a big fan of or whatever, she asks them for an autograph. But then she went to the hospital trying to look for a job, and then went to Belle's office, which is crazy. It just escalated to like, girl. But yeah.
And then she at the end when they cure her, and she goes, I gave you a picture? Like, she's so disgusted at herself when she's like, what was it? Oh, like, you're like 4 decades older than me. And Belle's like, not 4 decades. Like, not really. And then she's like, you're like as old as my grandpa. And he's like,
father.
He's like, yeah, father. And she goes, like, her face at the end, like, No.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I loved how Kit and Fiona were teasing Val about his age.
Yeah. Dr. Kit says, "Come on, Gramps." I thought, yeah, that's so good.
Oh my god, that is too funny. But yeah, this is the scene where I swear I was thinking to myself, like, what would Grayson do? Grayson would probably like pull some football move.
Yeah, he'd probably go in and tackle. Get off my boss. He'd go in.
Uh, this is why we need you back. But yeah, so anyway, one thing that we skipped was during the surgery, Kit brought up that one way to say Chastain was
Plastic
to
surgeon.
yeah, which
Yeah.
his stepson is. Conrad
Yeah.
Ricamoro's character is a plastic surgeon resident or whatever. That's who Kit pretty much just trying to persuade Val to hire at Chastain to help with the revenue of the hospital. So we are going to be seeing Conrad Ricamora starting next week. More of his character next week. When you were here, I had said that I wanted the resident to introduce an LGBTQ character. I had suggested that, out of all the characters that they had on the show as of that moment, that Grayson I thought was the one who was most likely to come out. You know what I mean? As a gay character. So I was kind of disappointed that they had to introduce a new character to be the LGBTQ woman. Like, I feel like you would have been.
And maybe Grayson still is. So like who knows if he does come back. I'm totally down that if there's an episode where he comes out, and that's on the writers. If they want to do that, I'm 100% behind it.
Have you ever played a gay character?
I've played a lot of gay characters. Yeah. It's one of those things. Well, it's not that I've actually only ever played 2 on camera, but I auditioned for a lot of gay characters. It's one of those things where I get kind of typecast here in Hollywood. I always go in for the same 3 things. It's gay, Jewish, and nerd. So I always go in for those 3 things. And the only thing that I would say I am out of those 3 is Jewish. I'm like, that's the one where I'm like, okay, like I can see that because I am like,
right.
But yeah, those are the top 3 auditions that I go on.
Does it get tiring to be typecast that way?
Yes and no. It's tiring in the sense where like it's the same audition, and it's not original at this point. It's like, okay, how many, like, and I get that representation really, it does matter. Like if you need an LGBTQ character on your show or your movie, like by all means 100%. But I do notice that a lot of the gay characters I go out for are not 3D characters. They go, oh, the one thing that he is gay. And I'm like, okay, well, there needs to be more to a character than just gay. Like, gay people come in all shapes and sizes. Like, give me more to work with. Like, don't just write like he is. And that's the only character description that they have. And they don't really flesh out these characters enough. But I feel like The Resident does do that. When they write a character, they go, okay, we need to give them backstories. We need to give them like purpose and like what they wanted. Like, and so I think that's one of the big differences with a lot of the characters I go out for versus The Resident is like The Resident has a fully formed 3D character in mind. Yeah. And even if they're only there for one episode, it's you can still infer like a lot of the backstory and a lot of the things that they've been through because of such like the clever writing that they do.
Yeah.
So
that's why I think that like, I just see you as Grayson as the one that makes most sense to have come out of the characters that have. All right, but I'm glad that they are going to be they're introducing Conrad's character as a plastic surgeon first, who is a musician as well, but then comes out later as gay, because it's like you said,
I
it's
didn't know
not
that.
just a personality. Like I said, it's not just a person. Gay people have other personal qualities that are not just linked to their homosexuality. It's also everything else, and it's so I'm glad that they have introduced, they have fleshed out more of his character before going, yeah, he's gay. You know what I mean?
And that's such great writing. Like that's why I love the show so much. It's exactly what you just said. Yeah.
Okay, so next we're going to talk about Nick and Conrad. Okay, so congrats. So you know that they're having a baby. So
they're having a baby.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to bring up, because you probably, I don't know if they ever brought it up before, but her miscarriage. She talks about, they have brought it up before?
Season 2, forget what episode it was, but it was like a flashbacks of Conic relationship.
Oh, yes. Oh, I remember.
It was written
now.
by Marquis Jackson.
Oh, Marquis,
He talked about, when we interviewed him, he talked about how he wanted, there was a storyline in the that particular episode where the couple had a vacation in Hawaii or whatever, it's my home state. And the original script was going to be a flashback to their love story. But Marky was like, why do we want an episode about a couple that we don't care about? It's only going to be a one-time thing. Why don't we do flashbacks of the couple that we actually do care about, of Conic? And in that episode, they did talk about the miscarriage and stuff. So yeah. But yeah, Mike, I was pregnant before, so I've lost a baby before.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Thank you. It happened about 8 years ago, and so sometimes I wonder, like, I would have an 8-year-old right now, or a 7-year-old, which is a little unnerving, because I'm sitting there going, I'd have an elementary schooler. But God, I'm getting emotional thinking about this. I understand in a way that, the fear that Nick was having in this episode of like telling people, because she lost the baby before, and it's like jinxing them sort of to what could possibly happen and stuff. But we did find out the baby is a girl, so we're having a baby girl.
But I'm super stressed out because I saw the preview of the next episode. And I was like, oh no.
Yeah. So,
and then you see Conrad like crying over a bed.
For everyone, yes, there is a patient that stabs Nick. She has to go through surgery, but it's been confirmed that she'll be fine and the baby will be fine. Both Amy and some of the writers have been on that.
So okay, I didn't know. I was like, wait, no. I was so nervous.
Well, the thing about it is, I would be surprised if something happens to Nick, because Emily is the main cast member. She's part of the big storyline. She's like part of the number one couple on the show, and stuff like that. And you would lose like millions of people watching the show if something happens to Nick.
Nothing. She is our precious lead character. We want nothing to happen to her ever. So, I agree.
They lose half their viewership in 1 week if something happens to Nick or anything like that. But the baby, also from what I understand, it seems like the baby will survive as well, so that she'll be fine.
I mean, they got the best surgeons and doctors in that hospital, so
I mean, have they ever I don't remember like if they ever talked about who's the OBGYN. I think we did see the ultrasound tech. But that doesn't mean that she's an OBGYN, because a lot of times those who are doing the ultrasound isn't the actual doctor and whatever. But
if I remember correctly, in season 3, Mina has that friend who is pregnant and has the baby.
Michelle.
Yeah, Michelle. Yeah. So I think we saw an OBGYN in those episodes, if I remember correctly.
Mm.
I think it's been so long.
I know it's been over a year. It feels like, but yeah, no, we had. So I'm just excited for the storyline of a pregnancy.
Me too. Yeah.
You know, like I said, it's the emotions that she's feeling, especially with the loss of her first pregnancy or whatever. It's understandable with all women who've lost children deal with that, you know, fear and that anxiety and stuff like that, especially with your next pregnancy. So
yeah, I mean, I can't even imagine. I can't, you know, I am excited to see how it's dealt with through The Resident, though. I feel like The Resident talks about such hard topics in such an eloquent way that it's so cool. It's so cool to finally get a show that doesn't BS you and doesn't try to like avoid these topics. They go, no, we're gonna talk about all these topics in like one episode, and we're gonna like tackle it like head on. So I think that's
this. I don't know if you noticed, but this season they've tackled a lot of topics in just little bits. And they do it in a way where it's not like slap you in the face kind of thing.
Yeah.
But like in a subtle, respectful way. You know, like they brought up George Floyd.
Yeah,
the Black
I was
Lives
gonna
Matter protest.
Exactly.
This episode.
Mm-hmm.
They brought up systemic racism.
Yep, with Devon's dad.
Yeah.
Oh.
Kane and the Raptor as well.
Oh yeah, Kane and yep.
And Dev's dad as well. COVID season, you know, episode 1, etc. And they brought it in the ways where you like, they're talking about it, but you're not like.
Yeah, exactly. They're not slapping you in the face about it. They're going, here's an example of something that does happen in the US and how it's happening to our main characters. And so you should care about it. And that's cool. I like it. I wish there was one day where I shadowed Tim Good, who's the lead editor for The Resident, but he also directs episodes, and he also a really cool guy, which I keep saying, super nice guy. But I went and shadowed him for a day, and he took me to the writer's room, and I met all the writers all at once. And I was like, oh my God, they have a team here and they are working really hard to make sure that every episode, it's so cool to see how they work. They use like these cards and they write the little story.
How many people are in the writer's room? While you were there, how many were there?
There must have been 15 people. I mean, but they weren't in like the room together, but they have a big office and they all have like their own little work areas. And then I'm sure at some point they all go into the same room and they go, okay, how are we going to structure? I don't know how it works, but it was so cool to see. Like, it felt like it was, I was in a room full of doctors, which I kind of was, because there are a couple of doctors that are writers on the show. So it felt super legit, super cool. I'm like, all right, they really care about this show. They're willing to put in the work and the effort to make sure we get good episodes. Yeah.
But yeah, I just love that. Like I said, they also did, you know, with this episode is like I said, they brought up George Floyd. I mean, what are your thoughts on this whole thing with Black Lives Matter? I'm a big supporter. I am against anti-racism. It makes me so mad when I hear so many stories of
this show does bring up topics like that, police brutality and Black Lives Matter and systemic racism, which is we need to talk about more and more. And when they brought up the George Floyd protest, we're like, oh yeah, we got pepper sprayed at a protest, or tear gassed, and that's what caused the problems. I was like, and then I thought about it and I was like, okay, I went to a protest for George Floyd and I'm one of the lucky ones that nothing happened. We protested, and thank God that, we didn't get tear gassed or pepper sprayed, or that no like Nazis came out and like punched us in the face. And like, things like I thought about like, yeah, I'm one of the lucky people that went out to protest and nothing happened to. And this what happened to Clementine and Trinity, that really happened to people. Like, that is history now. Like, that is documented. I'm glad that there's subtle ways to bring up things in like an educative way. And I'm glad that they do that. And I thought that moment with AJ and Kane, when they're talking about how AJ was super excited to get another surgeon that, they could like hopefully be friends and colleagues, and he turned out to be a jerk, and that was also a really nice moment to see, where it's like, oh, here comes someone who I can relate to, that has probably been through the same things that I've been through.
I just feel like this was like, there's the way they do the systemic racism, like you said, with Kane and AJ, and now we're going to talk about Devon's dad. Devon's mom and dad. Devon's mom obviously had COVID, as well as his dad, who passed away. His dad passed away, and Devon is grieving, and it's grieving hard.
Yeah.
Like, really.
I mean, the fact that he went to a bar and he picked a fight with a guy, like, he's not doing well. And I'm glad that at the end of the episode, like, he was being mean to his mom because he was grieving, but I don't think he realized that his mom was also grieving, and probably harder than Devon, because I mean, she was married to the guy, and so I think it was a very nice moment when he realized that his mom was also in pain.
I just want to note that there was a recasting. Previously, Devon's mom was played by Zenobia Shroff, and it's been recast to Anna Kaja due to schedule conflict. I guess Zenobia wasn't available for filming this episode, so they had to recast for someone else. But the scene where she was in the hospital, and she was like, I could have called you, but you never pick up the phone. In the few times that you do pick up the phone, you're like, I have only 1 minute to talk to you. You know what I mean? I keep it like, you gotta go or whatever. And I didn't want to tell you that I was coming, because you would have told me don't come. And it's like, I guess in our own sense of grief, we sometimes forget that other people are grieving with us, and sometimes it's helpful to grieve together and stuff. But I'm glad that Devon's mom, Devon let her move in with him during the time so that they can help each other, because I feel like they need each other. But Devon and his mom need each other. They're the only ones left now. Dad's not there. I don't think he has brothers or sisters.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
I think we would have heard about him at this point.
By now.
Yeah, but I that was also a very heartbreaking point. Like, Jen is such a good writer, because like when they had that scene together at the end, and they were both like blaming themselves for the death of the dad, I was like, oh man, that hit me really hard, because I also feel like that mom is very similar to my mom. My mom does the exact same things.
She sends you pictures of other girls.
She not so much to that extent, but like cooking food. Like, my mom will make like a feast and be like, here, take it home. Like, that's for you guys. And because my mom only lives an hour south of where I live. And so she does that. And like, when we can't see each other, my mom will drive an hour north, drop off a bunch of food, and then just leave because she's like, my kids need to eat. Right. So I related to that mom a lot. Like that felt like my mom. And I was trying to like yell at Devon, like, stop being so mean to your mom, man. That's my mom.
That is so funny because today my mom just came and dropped off food.
Exactly. See, there you go.
7:00 in the morning.
Oh.
Like I hear keys opening my door and I'm like, what the heck is going on? And my mom comes in and she's like, here, I got food for you. And I'm like, thanks.
Thanks, Mom. All right, I'll see you. I'm gonna see my mom after this after the podcast. I got tested yesterday and I quarantined for 2 weeks. So I'm gonna go to my parents' house, see Mama and watch the Super Bowl. And yeah.
But yeah, I feel like Devon's mom is our mom in that sense.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. She's a universal mom.
Especially the whole cleaning thing. Every time a mom comes, she cleans everything.
Yeah. Yep. Like this one time my mom came over to my house and I forgot why I had to leave, but I left for 1 hour. And when I come back, all my clothes, all my whole laundry is done.
Yes.
It's complete, like and my mom's folding my shirts. And I'm like, Mom, what are you doing? And she's like, oh, you were gone. So I decided to do your laundry. And I'm like, I can do my laundry, Mom. Like, you don't have to do that.
The thing about mom's cleaning is that most of the time when my mom leaves after cleaning, I'm calling her like, where's this? Where's that? Where's this?
Yeah.
It's like the place where it is, where it's supposed to be. She's moved it.
Yep. Yep. That's same with my mom. Exact same thing. That's hilarious.
So we can all relate to that, Buzz. Yeah.
When in the episode when she opens up the freezer and it's completely stocked with food. Yeah, like, that is literally how my freezer looks now. Yep.
Labeled. Oh my god, my mom is always texting me like, I want my containers back.
Dude, okay, we might have the same mom, Camille, because 2 days ago my mom came up to drop off some more food, but she called me. She's like, you better have all my containers ready when I get there. And so I had to like go and get all the containers ready for when she got home.
Make sure that the tops are matching.
Yep. So that's so funny.
This is so our mothers. It's funny. But yeah, I mean, like, I love all the Indian food too. I'm just glad that Devon and his mom are working things out. They're like, grieving together. Manish actually got honorable mention for Actor of the Week or something by TvLine.com.
Let's go, Manish.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's not Actor of the Week. It's Performer of the Week. So he got honorable mention for it.
And he deserves it.
Definitely.
Yeah. And I feel like the first episode of this season of The Resident deserves every award imaginable. Like the way they tackled COVID and everything was just like, the writers probably had like real long discussions about like, hey, do we not talk about it? Or do we tackle it head on? And that's what they do. They tackled it head on.
Yeah.
And they killed it. I mean, I don't know about you, but I feel like this whole season, all 4 episodes I've seen so far, I didn't think that the show could get better, but this season is just like on a different level of like it just hit you hard.
And when I saw the first episode of this season, I was like, this is the best episode they've made so far in all 4 seasons. Like, I don't think anything's topped it. 220 was always my favorite, but 4-1 is like just slightly better. I have an emotional connection to 220, which was the Kira Johnson storyline with Black maternal mortality rates.
Yeah. That episode, I mean, and that's another thing, like those episodes they're real. That really happens. Like that's not a made up story for TV. Like that's a story that they put on TV after it became real. Like, so
it's based on a true story. It really happened. There's no lie about it.
Yeah.
But then, but yeah, I mean, like I said, but you're right. It's like getting better. The storyline, the acting, the whatever is just getting better. I feel like this season is really Manish's season so far. Anyway, it's really Manish's.
I think everyone from the writers, directors, actors, everyone's hitting their stride. Like this just like I am blown away by this season so far. And that's me speaking as a fan, not even, cast or anything. Like as a fan, I'm just like, wow, this is, I do think 401 was a masterclass.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
It was just like the way, like I said, they did it so subtly, and they did it like, and like you, and I loved how you said it gave you hope, because it does. It gives you hope that there's a future out there. There's going to be a time after all this. You know what I mean?
And I haven't had time to think about it while this has been happening, but because of The Resident, I'm like, oh wait, that's something that's going to happen in the future. We're going to look back at this time and think, wow, we all went through that as a collective species. Like we went through something really, really hard, really traumatic, but it did finally end, and it will end, hopefully sooner than later.
Hey, so we talked a little bit about Trinity. One point that she said about her daughter, after Clementine woke up from getting the heart attack and stuff, she said to Trinity was willing to forego this apartment.
Yeah.
And her mom said, "You think I helped those wings grow strong just to clip them? You're ready to fly." And I was just like, oh, that is so true. That's so like, mom is like,
it's poetic.
Yeah, it was, you as a parent's job, you're supposed to help support your child, and you're supposed to help, teach them the lessons of life and everything else, so that they can grow and become a better person or whatever. Go out into life and stuff. And I think that Clementine did a pretty good job with her daughter and stuff.
And you can tell that Clementine is like one of those moms that doesn't take any BS, but is a great mom. Mom. Yeah.
She was worried about her daughter. She knew, her daughter was like, her daughter came in with a wonky
like an alien hand. But and then it's one of those things where like, okay, like you fixed my hand, let's go, mom. And the mom's like, like you have not been walking right. Like you've been tripping and stuff. Like, and so that's, I'm glad that
she got diagnosed with Refsum syndrome, REFSUM syndrome, which is a rare genetic disorder. And from what Conrad said, her mom was a carrier.
Yeah.
But her dad was probably a carrier also, because he needed both genetic markers to actually have Refsum syndrome. So, but I just love the mother-daughter dynamic between them.
There was a lot of good mother and daughter stories this episode, which is, I mean, I'm guessing why it's called Mother Hens.
Yes. That's why I wanted to talk about the 3 mom stories.
Yeah.
Back to back, because moms are important and stuff. And then I want to also note that February is American Heart Month. Clementine was having a heart attack. She had 2 heart attacks. And a lot of times women get misdiagnosed with their heart problems because our symptoms are presented differently. Then, usually when they ask you about a heart attack, they always ask like, are you short of breath? Are you feeling any chest pains or whatever? And sometimes women's symptoms are different than that. From what I understand, they can present as like gas problems, like you're thinking you're having like stomach issues or whatever.
Imagine you're having a heart attack and they're going, oh, it's just, oh man, that's got to be tough.
But so heart problems is one of the leading causes for women to die. And so they I'm really glad that they touched upon that with this episode.
Yeah.
Because like I said, Clementine has had a heart attack. It didn't register as a heart attack at first because she was fine. She wasn't feeling chest pain or whatever until she started having the panic attack about COVID. Trinity possibly having COVID. She also had a heart attack before during the George Floyd protests, but again, she didn't go to the hospital. It didn't register to her that it was a heart attack or anything like that. So, but yeah, I wanted to point that out that it is American Heart Month, and this past Friday was National Wear Red Day for women who have American heart disease or anything like that. But yeah. So yeah, this episode they brought up that topic of heart attacks in women and how it presents differently.
Do you think they did that on purpose? Like they planned it out? Like they probably did. You know, I wouldn't put it. They probably are going
they're
like,
smart. They're smart writers.
Yeah, they are.
So that you never know. They probably said like, okay, we're gonna be airing this in February. Let's put it in there. But yes, so. Anyway, anything else you want to add about this episode?
I loved it, and I love Jen. I think she's one of the best writers I've ever worked with. And I think they nailed this episode. All the different storylines, and that's one thing that I did want to bring up too. Actually, in the first, before we even go to the theme song, we already have 3 stories set up. We have Devon and his mom. We have Conic. And we have AJ and Austin. And it's just like in the first 5 minutes, we're like, okay, we know what we're going to deal with this episode. Right. And then we just jump right into it. And I thought the first 5 minutes were like, okay, like, all right, let's go. All right, let's watch this episode.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just want to give a big shout out to Jen and Mads. And yeah, and you guys, and Camille, thank you so much for having me on. And I want to wish Kayla a speedy recovery, so she can be here next episode.
If not, you can come back too.
Why not? I'll be the replacement.
Yeah,
but I do hope.
I'm pretty sure that a lot of our fans would love it if you be a regular, but yeah.
And I have fun talking about it, so I have fun every time I'm on the show.
It's great though because I love getting the perspective of the actors. Like what they were thinking, what they were doing. That's what is wonderful. But yeah, and also great job to Rob Greenlea, the director.
Yes.
Great job with that, all the emotions and stuff. I mean, he did Accidental Patient last week. The Accidental Patient last week was a doozy. Yeah. But yes, okay. So let's sign off and then we can go. So for all of the listeners, let's just talk about the statistics. Facebook page that we have for the podcast is the Resident Rulebreakers podcast. Go like that page if you aren't already. Our group is the Resident of Fox Fans. We have several of the cast members, writers, directors in the group, including Radek. Radek is in the group. Instagram page is the Resident Podcast, and you can follow us there. My Instagram page is the Resident of Fox Fans. Kayla's is KB Country 37, and Radek's is at Radek Lord, right?
Yep.
And then Patreon account is www.patreon.com/The Resident Podcast. If you guys want to support our podcast or whatever, you can support us by at least giving $1 a month. That's the minimum. You get access to behind the scenes as well as exclusive content and being the first to see things like our podcast covers and listening to the podcast before anybody else does. Twitter account is Resident Podcast. We do post there, but not as much as we do in Instagram or Facebook. Places to listen to us is Podbean, and thank you to all our listeners from Podbean. We just reached 1,000 downloads on Podbean. So
yeah.
YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and iHeartRadio. And next week we will be, hopefully Kayla will be back. So we will be talking about Home Before Dark, season 4, episode 5. That's going to be the Nick getting stabbed by patient. Kane will be back. Conrad Ricamora will be back. It will be an emotional episode. But yeah, before we go, I did forget, I don't want to forget to add this, but don't worry, everyone. Chastain won't be condominiums. The sale will fall through or something. Chastain is still going to be a hospital. It will be a public hospital, no longer a private hospital. This was confirmed by Eric Liu, Daniela Lamas, Amy Holden Jones, pretty much everybody, that it's not going to be condominiums. Because so many people were worried that the show was going to end and that the hospital would be condos. And I was like, no, it's not going to be condos. And they're like, how you know? And I'm like, we talked to the writers. And they said, no, it's not going to be condos. But yeah, so anyway. Thank you, Radek, for joining me today.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
And I swear you should do like a what would Grayson do kind of.
I'm starting Grayson's Anatomy.
Yes. Hello.
Yeah, hello. Come on, guys. All right. But yeah, thank you so much for having me on.
Do you have any thing you want to
I have nothing to plug.
Huh?
I have nothing to plug. I'm just doing this for fun for you guys.
Thank you for doing it for us. It is an awesome thing. Thank you so much. But yeah, anyway, see y'all next week and thank you for listening. Bye.
Bye.